My name's Kevin Brimmer, and I was big in the 90s.
Kev, it's great to see you.
Of course.
Great as well to hear that you're having a bit of a comeback at the moment.
Some say I never went away, but I did. Do you want to know everything, or like the interesting bits?
Everything.
Oh, after the disaster with the tour, I went a bit underground, and I was recording my own music for myself because I thought nobody appreciates the genius, because nobody came to that last gig. So I just thought it's just for me. I class more than one gig at a tour, and they were in different towns.
Well, do you want to tell us about your new album?
It's I'd say it was the most autobiographical piece of music that I've conjured up yet.
I mean, track one seems a little...
Well, you're talking about Pullman's buffet cart. Well, that's more just about like things I like to eat, like crisps. So it's autobiographical.
It's just a list.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of crisps. Smoky bacon. I can't remember any others, but there's other ones as well.
Cheese and onion.
Cheese and onion, that's one, yeah.
Well, that was track two.
I was going to call it Ploughman's, but I thought it was too obvious.
Was it a stylistic choice to release the entire new album on cassette?
Well, it was, because when I was big in the 90s, tape cassettes were still pretty, the CDs were around and been around since the 80s. I know, but tapes, you had your Walkmans, so you could slot it in there and walk around, whereas a CD-man, or whatever they were called, were crap. Personally, I'm a fan of the 80s, but nothing could kick off for me in the 80s, so it was the 90s. So my music was a bit out of step, because everyone was doing dance and all this rave stuff with glow sticks, and that just wasn't my bag. What was the question?
You were famously the only artist in the area that refused to play the Hacienda. What was the reasoning behind that? The biggest venue in the area.
What a cliche.
You have been experimenting with some new sound and recording techniques. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yes, I thought it would be interesting to develop some sounds which maybe nobody has ever heard before. So I got some saucepans first with some water in, and I wobbled them a little bit and banged it, and they went, and that was a good sound, but I just couldn't make it fit to anything, so I sacked that one off. And then I discovered the harmonica. I could probably tell you one song with a harmonica on it. It's it's that one where it's got a harmonica at the start.
The Beatles song?
No.
Oh, one of the blues songs?
No.
Bob Dylan?
No. 80s. It were 80s.
Billy Bragg?
No. Boy George or something. Ho! I like to ho with my gun, ho! Up round the rivers and down round the glow of the lighthouse out to sea, showing me the way to go. I'll be.
Is that one of yours?
Yeah, that's track 7. That.
Could you sing a bit from your new album for us?
Rolls out the dice, isn't it nice? Move your piece around, let me hear the sound as you're going round the board. Oh, I want to go and I'm gonna take my turn now.
That's a great rendition of Ludo.
I mean, it's 10 minutes long, that track, so it's a bit... My mum says it outstays its welcome, but what does she know?
Tell us a bit about your years in local radio.
It's probably the most local radio that you'll ever come across, because I was upstairs in my bedroom and my mum was downstairs listening. She'd phone in It was yogurt pots with a bit of string, and she'd tell me what records she wanted me to play, or she'd complain and tell me to turn it down, or sometimes she'd tell me that tea was ready.
Now, the band were meant to appear on Going Live back in the day, but I believe you didn't. There was a problem with you not turning up or something. What's the story there?
Well, to be honest, my mum wouldn't lend me the car.
From the footage I've seen, you spoke to them on the phone, but it wasn't very coherent.
Well, it was probably a bad line.
Well, your bandmates did say it was a bad line of cocaine.
I'd like to set the record straight, actually, because it wasn't even cocaine. It was Daz, which was, I think, why I had such a violent reaction to it. And I might have sworn once or twice.
But on that call, there was a kid who wanted to ask you about how to break into the music industry, and you responded entirely in expletives.
Well, the way I looked at it is, if you fought to get where you are, the last thing you want is some little upstart coming up behind you in your airstream, riding the waves, and then taking all the glory and surpassing you for musical, lyrical genius. So, I mean, I called him a little.
That kid did go on to be H from Steps.
Well, yeah, I shouldn't have worried, should I? And I can tell you this because I'm probably never going to work with them, and thank God for that, is I cannot stand Stop Aching and Waterman. They were just, everything sounded the same.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you hated the early 90s drum beat sound so much that you just refused to have a drummer in the band.
That when we had a drummer, he sat there and he pressed a button, and then it like went, and then at the end he turned it off, and that was it. That's all he did. So I just thought, no drums at all, and that will be a bit of a gimmick too. That'll lure music aficionados in, thinking, ooh, this is a rarity, a band with no drummer. But then obviously people who like drummers weren't interested.
Like the Doors, they had no basis.
Eh? The Doors? I heard they had no knobs. I assumed you were fans.
Well, we are.
We kind of are fans.
It was a bit of a long pause then. Like Gary Glitter said, it's good to be back.